Hi, grade 9s. I hope you guys are all doing well today. We're jumping right into Much Ado About Nothing. This is your play. I think I had you kind of watch the very beginning of it from one of the last lessons that we've done. This is kind of after our little podcast break that we just had. Hopefully you've all submitted something to that discussion forum there. Sometimes it's great to take a break right now because what's going on in the world is in some instances far more important than what we're doing here, but it's also really great and really also very important to get our minds off of that and kind of dig deep into something different. I know that it's been a really nice escape making these lesson videos for myself. I've been learning a lot, and it's a nice escape from sort of the grim media that we are all seeing come up so often right now. So to that effect, I think we can just jump right in here. We're getting into Act 1. This is a really funny play, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It goes along with a really funny, campy film that we will be watching. So I'm going to how I'm going to do this is I'm going to take you through the acts, sort of each lesson. This lesson will be Act 1. I'll take you through each scene. I've got slides for each scene, and I'll just kind of in really simple terms, I'll explain what happens in each scene. And this won't take too long. Then kind of halfway through the video here, we'll just start rolling the film so you can watch the movie that was made in 1993. Again, a lot of actors that you probably recognize, Denzel Washington being one, Keanu Reeves being another one. So it'll be a lot of fun. And so we'll watch. I'll only play through Act 1 for this lesson, and then we'll go on to Act 2 next time. Okay? So the most important thing right now is that you're paying attention to the words being used, to the sort of ideas that are coming across, the costumes that they're wearing, the backdrop. This is theater, right? It's not a novel, it's not a book. We're learning about theater, and I'm trying so hard to be a little bit as interactive as we possibly can with this online learning environment, because normally we'd be doing a lot of readers theater right now. We'd be acting out parts in class. I usually do this when spring hits because we can get outside a lot. We go down to the library or the chapel, these old buildings. We use them as backdrops, and we would pretend that we're all these different characters in the play, and then we would read the script, and it kind of comes alive a little bit. Well, we'll try to make it come alive in a different way. You guys can watch this film and also read the script. It's a funny play, so we'll get into it. So Act 1, Scene 1, this starts, again, I think I sort of mentioned this previously, but it starts when a character, Don Pedro, is returning from war. So it jumps right into it. However, at the very beginning we have Leonato, and Leonato is sort of like the wise old man in the play. Leonato it's all taken place at his estate, sort of, which gives a little bit of historical significance there, that obviously some people had a lot of wealth in this time period, and so a lot of people would have these massive estates like Leonato's. And it says messenger at the beginning of the play. You'll see when you read through the script, you'll see this term messenger pop up. That just means it's like somebody who's sort of related to his family. It's sort of like a peasant in his family. Families were very hierarchical at that time period. So Leonato was sort of the main man of the house, I guess, and messengers, there would be lots of messengers, and there would be also servants and peasants, farmers working on these estates of these people. So Leonato in this case is sort of the head honcho, if you will. Okay, and so the messenger comes and tells Leonato and some of the family members. Beatrice is there. Hero is there, the beautiful Hero. That's Leonato's daughter, and Beatrice is the cousin. The whole family's there, kind of hanging out, almost in a bit of a picnic or something. And the messenger is telling them that Don Pedro is coming back from war. Right, it's happening, and right away, Hero starts to sort of make fun of one of the characters, Benedict, who is going to be with Don Pedro coming back from war. and we right away get into this funny back and forth relationship between these two characters, Beatrice and Benedick. This is when Don Pedro does actually come back. He says first right away, he says, "Good Signor Leonato, are you come to meet your trouble? The fashion of the world is to avoid cost, and you encounter it." Essentially, a really kind message of saying, is it going to be trouble that I'm here, sir? Like essentially saying, like, hello, can you welcome us to your estate? And Leonato said, "Never came trouble to my house in the likeness of your grace." Essentially saying, you guys are all home from war and you are not trouble at all. We're so happy to see you guys. Don Pedro then says, "You embrace your charge too willingly. I think this is your daughter." Leonato, "Her mother hath many times told me so." So there is a really nice exchange between this Don Pedro and Leonato. Remember, Don Pedro is this soldier coming back from war with his people. And then immediately there's this funny back and forth between these two characters, Benedick and Beatrice, and they have this love-hate relationship for each other. And that's what I say on this slide here. At around 105, we first experience the love-hate relationship that Beatrice and Benedick have for each other. They start kind of teasing each other. Benedick goes, "If Signor Leonato be her father, she would not have his head on his shoulders for all Messina, as like him as she is." Beatrice goes, "I wonder that you will still be talking, Signor Benedick. Nobody marks you. Like, no one likes you. Like, are you still talking? Like, is something talking over here? Like, we don't want to hear you talking." As in, like, sort of like talk to the hand a little bit, right? Benedick and Beatrice, Beatrice is very kind of sly, and she's kind of evil with Benedick, but like they both kind of hate each other. But then you'll see as the play goes on that they also have a lot of love for each other, which is really funny because when I teach this in a class, many times a couple of my kids have that same sort of relationship, and I can kind of pick on them a little bit. It's kind of fun. That's happened in the past. I don't think we have those characters this year, but maybe. Act 1, Scene 2. This is a very short scene, but a very important scene. This is when Leonato's brother Antonio comes into the picture. He tells Leonato that he has overheard Benedick speaking about Claudio being in love with his daughter, Hero. This must be overwhelming, all of these different characters, but you'll get to know each one quite a bit as we kind of go through this story. Hero is Leonato's daughter. She's like super hot. Everyone really likes Hero. She's like a really beautiful woman. And Claudio kind of tells Benedick that he's really into her, like really likes Hero. And so then Antonio is Leonato's brother. Antonio overhears this and tells Hero's dad that, like, Claudio, this dude is like really into your daughter, man. And so there's this kind of weird exchange in Scene 2 when Antonio tells Leonato that, and then Leonato goes, no, we will hold it as a dream till it appear itself. Essentially, that's a line. Like, this is so funny because it's quite mature subject matter from Shakespeare in like 400 years ago when Leonato's like, no, like, that can't be true. That can't be true. Claudio can't be into my daughter. Oh, God, that's weird. Okay? So it's kind of funny. We'll see what happens from that point on. But, of course, that scene is very, very important. Scene 2, Act 1, Scene 2, it's important because we get to know, as an audience, we get to know that Leonato knows that Claudio really is into Hero. And right away these relationships start to build. It's a character study. This play doesn't really go many places, right? It's not, there's not a whole lot of scenes in this play. There's not most of it happens at this guy's mansion. There are different scenes, but there are different settings, but most of it happens at this Leonato's estate. It's kind of funny. So anyways, Leonato finds out that Claudio is really into his daughter. And Claudio is just a dude. He's like a friend of Benedick's in the picture. Okay? Scene 3, Act 1, Scene 3. This is a very important act because we learn about sort of the evil villain in the play. And we learn about him because he essentially tells us, the audience, that he is the villain. He's I mean, again, it's kind of a satire. This play is a satire, and we've learned about satire a little bit in the fall of last year. But it's playing a lot off of, obviously there would have been villains in other plays at the time, and Shakespeare's kind of making fun of that a little bit, right? In this final act, we're introduced to Don John. Don John is this evil brother of Don Pedro, and he constantly wants to mess with people throughout the play. And he's really important. If he wasn't in this story, it wouldn't be as funny, and it wouldn't really be it wouldn't be dramatic, right? Don John is the one who sets up all of these funny acts to sort of destroy relationships and things. And it's mean, but it's funny at the same time. So he has this very famous line in here that he says, "I had rather be a canker in a hedge than a rose in his grace, and it better fits my blood to be disdained of all than to fashion a carriage to rob love from any. In this, though I cannot be said to be a flattering honest man, it must not be denied that I am a plain dealing villain." He says it himself, that he is the villain. And so it's very simple. It's a simpler play because it's a shorter play, for one. We're almost done Act 1, which is great. But it also is, it's also simple because the characters are pretty easily laid out for everybody. And so, yeah, it's fantastic. So this introduces us, scene 3 introduces us to Don John. He's a very important character in the play. He is played by Keanu Reeves in this amazing film that we're going to watch shortly here. The next slides, I just take you through the main characters. So that's it for Act 1. I want you to watch the film. It's going to come up. But these slides are just really simple. They just give you some idea of the main characters. There's 2 main relationships in this play that you'll learn about. Beatrice and Benedick is one. They have this love-hate relationship. It says, under Beatrice and Benedick, it says, in a war of wits with Benedick, and with Benedick it says, in a war of wits with Beatrice. Essentially, a love-hate relationship. They always are using funny words to sort of make fun of each other a little bit, in a way. And then, so, these little character cards are really nice. Beatrice, it says, she's witty, she's aware, she's vulnerable, but also endearing, and that's so true. And Benedick can be a bit of a jerk, but also has a sweet side. These other 2 characters, Claudio and Hero, are also very important. We've been introduced to them. Claudio is just another dude who shows up. Claudio is really in love with Hero, really into her. Hero is, again, Leonato's daughter. Leonato's the owner of this big estate, this big mansion. And so Claudio is this youthful, enthusiastic, a bit immature, a bit gullible, but like really good-looking guy. And he runs his mouth and almost ruins his marriage with Hero. And we'll learn about that later in the play. And Hero, she's this very gentle and loving, although she doesn't have much of a backbone, it says here. So, and that's true. Like she's kind of a pushover, but that's Hero's story. And she gets wronged, but then she's able to overcome these accusations against her, which we'll also learn about. It's really important. And then we also have Don Pedro and Don John. Don Pedro is the prince that comes back from war. He's a peacemaker. He's a very powerful character in the play. He comes back from war, and kind of everything sort of comes kind of circles around Don Pedro. He's not part of those relationships, but he's sort of a mentor in a way. He gets wrapped up in the play's schemes. True. He gets wrapped up in everything because he's a big part of it. And Don John, of course, we've learned Don John is this bad guy that influences the play's actions, very much so. Like I said, if there was no Don John, there would be no Much Ado About Nothing. Don John is a huge part of it. He's almost like a protagonist in a way. Like he's almost he is a main character. You could almost argue that he is the protagonist because he makes everything happen in the play. And he tries to foil Claudio and Hero's relationship in a really funny way, and we'll get into that later. For your assignment today, I just want you to read and view through all of Act 1. So I want you to read through the script. It's a pretty short play. Act 1 is very short. I want you to read through the script on No Fear Shakespeare. I also want you to view the film adaptation of it that is going to show up right now. Enjoy.
were deceivers ever. 1 foot in sea and 1 on shore. To one thing, constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, nonny, nonny. Sing no more ditties.
More.
Sing no more of dumps so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so. Since summer first was leafy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, nonny, nonny!
My lord.
I learn in this letter that Don Pedro of Aragon comes this night to Messina.
He is very near by this. He was not 3 leagues off when I left him.
How many gentlemen have you lost in this action?
But few of any sort and none of name.
I find here that Don Pedro hath bestowed much honor on a young Florentine called Claudio.
He hath borne himself beyond the promise of his age, doing in the figure of a lamb the feats of a lion.
Is Signor Mountanto returned from the wars or no?
I know none of that name, lady.
My cousin means Signor Benedict of Padua.
Oh, he's returned, and as pleasant as ever he was.
I pray you, how many hath he killed and eaten in these wars? But how many hath he killed? For indeed I promised to eat all of his killing.
He had done good service, and a good soldier too, lady.
And a good soldier to a lady. But what is he to a lord?
A lord to a lord. A man to a man, stuffed with all honourable virtues.
It is so indeed. He is no less than a stuffed man.
You must not, sir, mistake my niece. There is a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedict and her. They never meet, but there's a skirmish of wit between them.
Who is his companion now? He hath every month a new sworn brother.
He is most in the company of the right noble Claudio.
Oh, Lord. He will hang upon him like a disease. He is sooner caught than the pestilence, and the taker runs presently mad. Oh, God help the noble Claudio.
If he have caught the Benedict, it will cost him £1,000 ere he be cured.
I will keep friends with you, lady.
Do, good friend.
You will never run mad, niece.
No, not till a hot January.
Don Pedro is approaching!
Signor Leonato, are you come to meet your trouble? The fashion of the world is to avoid cost, and you encounter it.
Never came trouble to my house in the likeness of your grace. My lord.
I think this is your daughter.
Her mother hath many times told me so.
Were you in doubt, sir, that you asked her?
Signor Benedict, no.
If Signor Leonato be her father, she would not have his head on her shoulders for all Messina, as like him as she is.
I wonder that you will still be talking, Signor Benedict. Nobody marks you.
What, my dear Lady Disdain? Are you yet living?
Is it possible Disdain should die while she hath such meat food to feed it as Signor Benedict? Courtesy itself must convert to disdain if you come in her presence.
Then is courtesy a turncoat. But it is certain I am loved of all ladies, only you excepted, and I would I could find in my heart that I had not a hard heart, for truly I love none.
A dear happiness to women. They would else have been troubled with a pernicious suitor. I thank God and my cold blood I am of your humor for that. I had rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me.
God keep your ladyship still in that mind, so some gentleman or other shall scape a predestinate scratched face.
Scratching could not make it worse, and for such a face as yours were.
Well, you are a rare parrot teacher.
A bird of my tongue is better than a beast of yours.
I would my horse had the speed of your tongue. But keep your way, in God's name, I have done.
You always end with a jade's trick. I know you of old.
Signor Claudio, Signor Benedict, my dear friend Leonato hath invited you all. I tell him we shall stay here at the least a month.
Let me bid you welcome, my lord. Being reconciled to the prince, your brother, I owe you all duty.
I thank you. I am not of many words, but I thank you.
Please it your grace, lead on.
Your hand, Leonato, we will go together.
Benedict, didst thou note the daughter of Signor Leonato?
I noted her not, but I looked on her.
Is she not a modest young lady?
Do you question me as an honest man should do for my simple true judgment, or would you have me speak after my customers, being a professed tyrant to their sex?
No. I pray thee, speak in sober judgment.
Why, if faith methinks she's too low for a high praise, too brown for a fair praise, and too little for a great praise. Only this commendation I can afford her, that were she other than she is, she were unhandsome, and being no other but as she is, I do not like her.
Thou thinkest time and sport. I pray thee, tell me truly how thou likest her.
Or would you buy her, that you inquire after her?
Can the world buy such a jewel?
Yea, and a case to put it into. But speak you this with a sad brow?
In mine eyes, she's the sweetest lady that ever I looked on.
I can see yet without spectacles, and I see no such matter. There's her cousin, and she were not possessed with a fury. Exceeds her as much in beauty as the 1st of May doth the last of December. But I hope you have no intent to turn husband. Have you?
I would scarce trust myself, though I had sworn the contrary. If Hero would be my wife.
Is't come to this? Shall I never see a bachelor of 80 again?
Gentlemen, what secret hath held you here that you followed not to Leonato's?
He is in love. With who? That is your grace's part. With Hero, Leonato's short daughter.
Amen if you love her, for the lady is very well worthy.
You speak this to fetch me in, my lord.
By my troth, I speak my thought.
And in faith, my lord, I spoke mine.
And by my 2 faiths and troths, my lord, I spoke mine.
That I love her, I feel.
That she is worthy, I know.
That I neither feel how she should be loved, nor know how she should be worthy, is the opinion that fire cannot melt out of me. I will die in it at the stake.
Thou wast ever an obstinate heretic in the despite of beauty.
That a woman conceived me, I thank her. That she brought me up, I likewise give her most humble thanks. But that I will hang my bugle in an invisible baldric, all women shall pardon me. I will live a bachelor.
I shall see thee ere I die, look pale with love.
With anger, with sickness, or with hunger, my lord, not with love.
Well, as time shall try. In time, the savage bull doth bear the yoke.
The savage bull may, but if ever the sensible Benedict bear it, pluck off the bull's horns and set them in my forehead. And let me be vilely painted, and in such great letters as they write, here is good horse to hire. Let them signify under my sign, here you may see Benedict the married man.
Benedict, repair to Leonato's. Tell him I will not fail him at supper, for indeed he hath made great preparation.
Examine your conscience, and so I leave you.
Hath Leonato any son, my lord?
No child but Hero. She's his only heir. Dost thou affect her, Claudio?
Oh. My lord, when you went onward on this ended action, I looked upon her with a soldier's eye that liked, but had a rougher task in hand than to drive liking to the name of love. But now, I am returned, and that war thoughts have left their places vacant. In their rooms come thronging soft and delicate desires, all prompting me how fair young Hero is, saying, I liked her ere I went to wars.
Thou wilt be like a lover presently and tire the hero with a book of words. If thou dost love fair Hero, cherish it. And I will break with her and with her father, and thou shalt have her. I know we shall have reveling tonight. I will assume thy part in some disguise and tell fair Hero I am Claudio. And in her bosom I'll unclasp my heart and take her hearing prisoner with the force and strong encounter of my amorous tale. Then, after to her father will I break, and the conclusion is, she shall be thine. In practice, let us put it presently.
What the good year, my lord? Why are you thus out of measure sad?
There is no measure in the occasion that breeds. Therefore, the sadness is without limit.
You should hear reason.
And when I have heard it, what blessing brings it? I cannot hide what I am. I must be sad when I have cause and smile at no man's jests. Eat when I have stomach, wait for no man's leisure. Sleep when I am drowsy and tend on no man's business. Laugh when I am merry and claw no man in his humor.
Yea, but you must not make full show of this till you may do so without controlment.
You have of late stood out against your brother, and he hath ta'en you newly into his grace. But it is impossible you should take true root, but by the fair weather that you make yourself.
I had rather be a canker in a hedge than a rose in his grace. In this, though I cannot be said to be a flattering, honest man, it must not be denied, but I am a plain-dealing villain. If I had my mouth, I would bite. If I had my liberty, I would do my liking. In the meantime, let me be that I am, and seek not to alter me. Baraccio, what news?
I can give you intelligence of an intended marriage.
Will it serve for any mortal to build mischief on?
Marry, it is your brother's right hand.
The most exquisite Claudio.
Even he.
How came you to this?
I heard it agreed upon that the prince should woo Hero for himself, and having obtained her, give her to Count Claudio.
Come, let us thither. This may prove food to my displeasure. That young startup hath all the glory of my overthrow. If I can cross him any way, I bless myself every way. You are both sure, and will assist me.
To the death, my lord.
Shall we go prove what's to be done?
We'll wait upon your lordship.